It's begun already. Guys, I haven't even started the stream and I'm already fighting with the guest. It took maybe 2 minutes. It took no time whatsoever. For Earth, for the light, for the loot. I support Pizza Maid in all of her ventures despite this delusion of me being a Oh my god, we haven't even started the stream and I'm already ready to yell at you. This is why we can't have nice things. Like friendships. Oh, thank you so much, Slice Typhoon. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. He's a Titan main. Dusk, he's a Titan main. Don't let him fool you. He's a Titan main. He lies. He lies so hard. This is not how we're supposed to start this. This is our first episode and already we're starting with a brother-sister fight. It took no time. How fucking dare you right now, Worlds Told. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is twitch.tv/PizzaMaid, and I am the head maid in charge here, Pizza Maid. It is a pleasure to serve you. It is Thursday, January 23rd, the year of your Lord 2025, and today we are kicking off our newest episode. Season 2 of Margarita's Happy Hour is in effect right now. This is actually episode 9, where we have a special guest. I don't know if I'm ready to call him a special guest per se. He's here and I'm now starting to just have thoughts. Maybe I didn't think this through. Maybe I should reconsider, but we're so far in that I can't take a step back. No regrets. Rogers and Joyce, how dare you? How dare you? But if this is your first time here on the channel, thank you so very much. I am a Phantasy Star content creator here on Twitch. So whether it be the JRPGs, the online iterations, Phantasy Star Online, PSO2, as well as games heavily inspired by the Phantasy Star franchise. It could be games that pay homage and tribute to Phantasy Star, like Skullgirls, like Destiny. This is actually the place where you'll see me stream them. And I love putting it out there because I love Phantasy Star and I love all my friends and I want to show everybody all the fun stuff about it. So what we do here once a month is we actually have a special show called Margarita's Happy Hour, where our resident interviewer, Margarita the Hucaseel, in her many iterations and forms, does a monthly interview with a special guest, whether it be another content creator, somebody heavily involved in the Phantasy Star community, or a dear friend of mine that I would like to also highlight who's familiar with the Phantasy Star franchise, familiar with video games, and would love to bring exposure and just well wishes and give them support and let you know a little more about them. I do this once a month, and this month I made the fatal mistake of choosing a dear friend of mine who's also a fellow clanmate in Destiny 2, and his name is Worlds Told. You will all be meeting him momentarily. But before we do that, I like the cut of your jib. He ain't my lord. Before we do that, though, I noticed that we did get some offline follows, so I want to take a moment to just really quickly thank Understandable Flash for the follow, as well as Slice Typhoon, who's currently here in chat. Thank you so much. Let me actually give you a quick shout out as well, Slice, before we start things rolling. I'm going to be pulling in my dear friend in just a moment, but first, let's give you a quick hello. What have you been doing? You've been doing art? Lovely. And so you guys know, if this is your first time here on the channel, this is going to be running about, for the entirety of the stream, about 2 hours. So feel free to grab the best drink, the best snack that you have, and enjoy. And if you are a subscriber of the channel, first and foremost, thank you so much for your support. By using your subscription or your Prime Gaming sub, you will get to enjoy tonight's interview with ad-free viewing, as well as emotes that you can use across all of Twitch, as well as a special sub channel in our Discord, Pioneer 23. So if you are a subscriber, please continue to enjoy those. If you're not a subscriber, that's perfectly fine too. Just know that there's going to be about a 3-minute ad break coming up at the 8:30 p.m. hour. So take that time to grab a bio break, grab something to eat, grab something to drink, and we'll be back after 3 minutes. Eden! Hello, Eden! How are you? How are you doing, Eden on Earth? I think you've been playing either Infinity Nikki lately or Final Fantasy XIV. There you go. This channel is made possible because of viewers like you. Thanks for coming to Pioneer 23 BS. That actually didn't come out. You know what? It's fine. It's not a big deal. I don't know where I was going with that. I was going somewhere with it and then I lost it. But I'm gonna call him in. I'm just gonna call him in now. And we're just going to see how this goes. And as if he picks up. I'm dialing. Hello, Neon. How are you? Hello, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
Oh my God, long time no talk. How long has it been?
It's been at least like minutes.
Minutes? Has it been minutes? I mean, it feels like it's been minutes. For sure.
Minutes. Whole minutes.
Whole minutes is correct. Welcome to being.
When you're having hunter fun.
You're not a hunter. Stop saying that. You are not a hunter. Tell everybody the truth. You're a Titan main.
Yeah, look at me hunting around. I'm just so jumpy. It's the
This is not his main character. I'm going to tell you guys already from the jump. This is not his main character. His main character is a Titan.
Main.
It's really not his main. He says that it's his main, but it's really not. But folks, I'd love to take a moment to introduce you to my dear friend, fellow clanmate, and longtime buddy, who I've also had the pleasure of doing a lot of collaborative streams with. In-game, he's known as Solstice, but you'll also see him on Twitch as Worlds Told. He is a narrative storyteller, and I'll let him introduce himself as well. But if you guys want more information on Worlds Told, there is a special custom command currently in chat for tonight. If you go to !Worlds Told, you'll get the information as to where his Twitch channel is, as well as his featured VODs on YouTube, and you can go support, and you can go check out his VODs. He has the cutest dog in the world, too. His dog and Darby are the cutest doggos in the entire world, and they're they're good boys. They're very good boys. He has a dog named Indiana Bones. But thank you so much for joining us today, Solstice. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing super well, and what an awesome intro. Thank you very much.
I do what I can.
Yeah. Well, you do it well.
I try.
I guess I should do my little spiel, my little setup here. So yeah, my name is Jason, aka Solstice, exactly like Pizza Maid said. I have a little channel called Worlds Told. I write roleplay-y stuff. I have also done like narrative crap, and because of that, I decided it would be kind of fun to make a channel all dedicated to like narrative, lore, RP, all that kind of stuff. So I tend to play a lot of games where either A, it's lore heavy, or B, I can RP the hell of it, one or the other. And yeah, it's been fun last few years.
It has been. I mean, you've been doing this since, I think, I believe you started, if memory serves me right, when I was doing my homework on you. You actually started in January of 2022. So, I mean, that was really kind of a very critical time, I think, for the world, because we kind of reached an unprecedented point of, like, global uncertainty. So I'm very curious to ask and trying to get a vibe from you as to where were you at upon the idea of starting content creation, and do you think that and I'll let you kind of extend on this as well, having previous experience in the games industry, do you think it kind of swayed you to pursue the content creation life, or to kind of bring that idea into a reality? Or do you think you found yourself a little reluctant to even start from there, but you felt that this was an outlet for something else?
Oh, I didn't choose the content creation life. The content creation life chose me.
Really?
I had no choice in the matter. Yeah, well, kinda. Kinda. So yeah, though the pandemic was it was very rough for a lot of people,
Mm.
and was definitely it hit pretty hard for me as well. One second, there's a furry animal that's demanding attention, so I'm gonna grab him so I can pet him while talking. Come here, come here.
I knew it was coming. Indiana Bones, doing
That's
Indiana
right.
Bones work.
He's been whining on my side as I've been trying to talk here. Yeah, the pandemic was kind of a rough time. I didn't have a lot of I guess I didn't have a support network locally, and so the whole bubbling up that a lot of people were doing was a little hard for me. And then this will actually kind of melt into how I met you.
Mm-hmm.
What basically happened was a friend of mine that I used to work on tabletop games with, he asked on Facebook, he was like, "Hey, anybody play Destiny?" And I was like, "Well, I used to. I'd played through Destiny 1's main content, and I played vanilla D2 when it first came out, and then after that, there wasn't a lot going on there, so I was like, yeah, I'll hold on." But then, yeah, he was like, "Hey, anybody want to play Destiny? Because we got all this time digitally to do stuff." And I was like, "You know what? I'll hop in." So I started playing that, and that was basically kind of building out my social network. And with that social network, I started kind of meeting his friends, who became friends of friends, became friends of friends, and that network was the clan. We still have our own little Discord, although it's not as heavily used as it was during the pandemic. But that was basically kind of a friend circle that I built, and that's actually how I met you,
Yes, this is true.
because you were friends with a mutual buddy of ours, Pogue,
Mm-hmm.
and he brought you and Sam into the clan, and yeah, we became buddies because we're just sort of a pair of messes that work well together,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like chocolate and what's the right word, herring. Yeah, I think that's a good combination.
Have you tried?
Um,
But have you tried chocolate and herring? Like, I feel like we're too quick to judge before we even know.
oh man, I'm all about the chocolate and herring. It's delicious.
Ooh.
It is absolutely
Well, it's a
fantastic.
salty sweet combo. I don't feel like it's that bad
Right?
of a mix up.
Right? It's two great tastes that crashed into each other and probably taste great together.
I agree. I agree. And I mean, even so, like now, mind you, your history in Destiny, aside from the clan and aside from us
Mm-hmm.
meeting, it is long withstood since day one. You have been a day
Mm-hmm.
one OG Destiny player. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you got to give a little highlight on that too.
A bit, yeah. I used to play D1 back in the back when it first came out. So a friend of mine who is also in this clan, I brought him in when we started kind of getting together. Um, his name is Shawkins. We used to play D1 quite a bit on the PlayStation.
Hmm.
Like we went through all the main content, and then started trying to build up. I think we did a couple of Vault of Glasses back in the day. But
Oh.
honestly, like the game at that point to me kind of felt like a blur. It was like, let's just figure out what to do. It didn't feel organized. It was just kind of a, well, we got some time. Let's hop on and do some things. And then once we got through what we wanted to do, we were like, it kind of fizzled out. But then it happened again with D2. We came back together and started big chilling and playing again. And it was kind of nice because he is a friend of mine from back when I first moved to the Pacific Northwest from the Midwest. And like he was going to college. I was just starting in the world of work. And so like after work, we were basically playing video games the whole time. Now, of course, he's married. He's got 50 trillion children. And so it's nice to occasionally find a time where we could kind of hang out and play something that we bonded over, which in a sense is kind of what happened for us too. We bonded over D2 and our love of other super cool nerdy things. and
Mm-hmm.
uh and actually the funny thing is, back to your question about streaming, I was trying to find a way to build a friend, like a friendship network, because it was like, now that everyone was starting to kind of get back out into the world, I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Because most of
Oh.
my my local friends were kind of dried up. A couple were having issues with the whole pandemic thing, so they kind of ghosted the world. And I was like, I'll give them their space, unless they wanted to talk. But because of that, it was like I felt like I was kind of going through a friend reset, and I was like, well, being as I'm in my 40s now, it's like a little harder to just go down to your local game shop and say, hey, who wants to play games? So I was like, well, how can I find friends that like the stuff I do? And that was when I started streaming. And pretty early on, actually, we for a while had our Sunday collabs, which was actually a lot of Destiny 1.
Yep.
And that was kind of fun. It was a good way to kind of to take off to warm up. And yeah, basically after that, like very slowly, like the hardest part for streaming is, the initial stream to no one, where you're streaming out into the ether and you're like, oh, gee, I hope someone watches. Oh, golly gosh. And then finally people started, kind of watching. And then those people brought other people in that were watching. And it kind of built up from there. And it became a big party. But at first, oof, it's a lot. So it's always nice to have someone to, at least, you got a viewer of one, even if they're on the stream with you. You know what I mean? It's just fun to have someone to run around with.
Well, it's nice to have that conversation and that dialogue with, and especially with something like, and I think for folks that may not know, around the time of my birthday, I had been very heavily into Destiny 2, so much so that, much like I was with Phantasy Star, I wanted to a moment, please. Pokiel, did you just redeem a pineapple on pizza? Did you just do that? Pokiel. Okay, so we have a thing here on the channel where people like to put pizza on my head. So no comments. No comments from the peanut gallery on this, all right? I got a pineapple on my head, Solstice. I need you to respect it. This is a thing that my community does because they like putting it's not, they do it as punishment. It feels like, I feel like a broken piñata. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like.
Pretty.
I know, it is very pretty. It was actually done by one of my community viewers. So, Pokiel loves pineapple. But when we, when I was getting very heavily into Phantasy Star, I was also very heavily into Destiny 2. And much like Phantasy Star, I took a step back. I wanted to see its humble beginnings. So I started by picking up the Destiny 1 collection. And I had asked Solstice to be like, hey, out of curiosity, would you be interested in playing Destiny 1 with me in our clan Discord to kind of get a better idea on everything? And he willingly obliged. He said, I'll make a slot. And we went through all the adventures of Destiny 1 together. So we did that, and it was a very eye-opening experience. And there's something about Destiny 1, and I don't know if it's in its graphics or its cinematography, but it just hits notes for me that Destiny 2 does not hit. And I don't want to compare one to the other because right now we know where that's going to go. But I think there
it's like
is...
comparing pineapple to pizza.
Pineapple always belongs on pizza. All the time.
Science fact.
But it's definitely... There's a special magic that comes with Destiny 1 that is very hard to convey in Destiny 2. But the fact that we got to experience that together, we created the Calamity Sisters together. I played a human hunter, and I still enjoyed and loved that. My little pink-haired girl with her little Erismorn girlfriend. It's been magical. All of the Awoken women who love me, like, what's her name? Petra Venge. That's my other girlfriend. It's a pretty magical experience. And I'm glad that we got to share that together. I thought that was a very strong bonding moment for us.
It was. That was when I started playing my alt, the Titan. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You are not a Titan alt. You are a Titan main. Chat, let the record show, no matter how many times he says this, and Neon will know what I'm talking about, he is not a hunter main. He's a Titan main that plays he started out as a hunter, but then switched to Titan, so now he's just an unofficial, official Titan main, and he refuses to admit it. Admit it.
The metrics do kind of disagree with your statement, but I appreciate that that's what you feel in your heart.
You've been racking up the hours. When I met you, and when I've seen you do content, which we should also talk about the content that you do in Destiny for folks, just in case they're interested. You are, tried and true. You're a Titan main, so you need to stop calling yourself a hunter main.
When I put another 600 hours into the Titan, we'll be tied, and then I'll consider it. But until then, I think the main is the one that you play the most. and I kind of not there yet. The
You
numbers just don't match.
play the Titan main all the time. You
I
played
do,
the
and
Titan
yet
main
still
in
I'm
Destiny
so
1.
underplayed.
Oh my goodness.
Don't worry, I'll get there. I'll get there. I don't mind being a Titan main. It just, I have to be a Titan main to be a Titan main. You know what I'm saying?
You really are. Listen, I see a couple of folks currently in chat right now. Neon Axolotl 7, Samus MMX. They are regular Destiny players. They can see
Excellent.
right through you. They know that you're a Titan main. Pose, you were formerly a Hunter main, now turned Titan main.
Well, since
Everyone
they
tell
are
'em.
Destiny fans, they are probably aware of wastedtimeindestiny.com, and you can actually just look me up. It's a public number.
Oh, I can smell the crayons on him. You smell like crayons. You smell like Crayola. How dare you? You know it. You smell like Crayola.
Oh, absolutely. I have been near quite a few crayons lately, especially the tasty kind.
Oh, see? So just admit that you're a Titan main. You are a Titan main.
I admit recently I've played a lot of Titan. I mean, it has been 10 years of gameplay, and I've played a Titan for 2 of them. So, I mean, I'm working on it.
Oh. Even Samus mentions, too, not to mention, we'll bring Monch's presence. Monch? Who's Monch's presence? Who's that?
Who is this person?
Warlock is still the best. Oh, now we have the ongoing debate of what the best class is. I mean, since we're going down this road, what content do you do in Destiny? Oh, Monch 57 is also a Titan main. There we go. That's who Monch's presence is. See? If Monch comes in here, that means you are, in fact, a Titan main, and it will be proven. Between you smelling like crayons and Monch coming into the channel, you are a Titan main.
I will admit, as we look at the screen right now, I will notice I'm a hunter. What class are you currently?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. So I told you before we started the stream to not bring this up. First of all, how dare you? First of all, how dare you? And I will let me explain this. And to those who are Phantasy Star fans will know this. So if you are familiar, Phantasy Star and the Destiny, they're very, very strong in resemblances between the class makeup, Mags versus Ghosts. So the equivalent of Margarita in Phantasy Star, she is a Hucasil. She is an android hunter. The comparable form of that in Destiny is she is theoretically an Exo-Titan, which is why I made a Titan. But my main is hunter. I am a hunter main. I have the hours to prove it. I am for sure a hunter main.
If we're using hours as the metric, it does sound like I'm correct. But if we're going to talk about what you play recently, right now you're playing a Titan.
No. Here's the thing. The clan has tried so many times to tell me that my personality and my character has made me a Titan main through and through, and I keep telling them, no, I am a hunter main. I like triple jump. Warlock is a great class, Neon. I do agree with that, but Warlock, I do not like the Warlock jump, nor do I like the Titan jump, but I love the hunter jump. Hence, I am a hunter main. What is your explanation?
My explanation is I play hunter a lot.
You do not play hunter a lot. Stop lying to people. This is supposed to be about you, and you're lying about yourself to everybody right now. This is what you're doing.
Well, if I want to lie to myself, I could call myself a Titan main.
You know what? You'd be telling yourself the truth then. You'd be telling yourself the truth. But what other content do you do? Because I know that you've also participated in Race to World First on your Titan. Let's point that out. We've got VODs. We got tapes. Check the tapes, Steve. We've got them. What other content do you do in Destiny?
Yeah, I do like my alt. I do like my alt a lot.
Oh my god.
So I'm okay with that.
We can't have nice things.
I also have a warlock. I have yet to hear you call me a warlock main.
Because you're not. Sam's the warlock main.
I agree.
We know Sam is the warlock main.
100%.
There's no question about that. We won't even go there.
Well, we're a step towards the truth. That's what matters.
Well, listen, we would be closer if you just admitted that you were a Titan main. Oh, Solstice.
Or that you admitted that I'm a hunter main.
Solstice, come out and admit it. You enslaved your pals. You're not a Jedi and you're a Titan main. Admit it. Admit it. That's right, Mr. Mongoose.
I see. 2 truths and a lie. The one that's a lie is the enslaving of the pals.
Oh, we played Power World. I saw what you did to your pals. Guys, we did so many collaborative streams. We played Power World. He literally put his pals through labor, hard labor. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. He plays.
Gotcha. So if that one's the truth, and the not being a Jedi is the truth, then the Titan main has to be the lie.
No. You did do everything short of eating them. This is true.
To your question though about what I have done in Destiny, I haven't actually done as much in a while. Destiny has been kind of in a hard place lately, so it's been a little difficult to do, like, at least for me, really fun content. I still do some, but like the stuff I used to love doing, I haven't been able to do as much. But up until recently, I did try to do the world's first stuff. I had a group I was doing for raids. Still occasionally, I'm trying to do dungeons on day ones, but those really they only recently started doing races for those. But even then, like, haven't really participated in those. I've kind of I'm a tired old man.
Oh, is that what it is?
And I just like the chase is a little hard. Although admittedly, the raid part, it's just finding a group to raid with, because the group I was with kind of disassembled. What's the word I'm looking for? Dispersed. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And so they haven't been doing them raids with me and such anymore. But that's kind of okay, because I've been kind of distracted by other games, other ventures. But yeah, back in the day, played a lot of raids, a lot of the dungeons. I still try to do the dungeons. I'm basically a content junkie. I love the narrative. I loved the lore. That's usually what kind of pulls me into play. I really enjoy watching the story progress in that game. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with Frontiers, because the rumor, like the non-rumor, it's basically been stated is we're leaving the system. And I want to see that. I want to see us go out into the great big universe. But what does that mean? Like, that's a very open sentence. And so I'm kind of excited to seeing that. But like, in terms of the content recently, it's usually like day one content. I feel like Bungie's trying to figure out what they want to do with their content right now. And so I'm just sort of riding when it appears. I'm in the back of the car going, are we there yet? How about now? Are we there yet?
Can we stop at a rest stop? I want Starbucks.
Neon actually has a really good point. Day one dungeons are rough. They don't fuck around. And that's actually my favorite day to do it, because I love doing the dungeons blind. I will say that actually does bring up one thing I also really love. I love the puzzle solving that they have put into most of their collaborative gameplay. The raids have amazing puzzles. The dungeons have amazing puzzles. And that piques my interest. To be honest, I'm trying to think of many other games that really hit that level of like FPS action, but committed so deeply to like collaborative puzzle solving. There aren't a lot, and that scratches a lot of itches for me. That hits a whole bunch of spots for me.
Now, see, this brings up then a twofold question, and I have to ask this.
Cool.
One, if you feel comfortable explaining this, as I mentioned earlier on in the interview, you do have experience with being in the video games industry. So I'm very curious to ask if you feel somewhat, I don't want to say jaded. I don't quite know the word that I'm thinking of, but do you feel that you kind of have approached Destiny, specifically Destiny? I'm not going to talk about other games, just so that we keep it on topic. Do you feel that it's kind of jaded your approach into going into Destiny, because you'll sometimes see Destiny not necessarily as what the game is, but more so you kind of see the bugs and quirks and fixes to it? And secondly, to the fact that you are very much a story-driven, narrative content creator, do you feel that you've been immersed enough in the Destiny storyline, or do you feel that there's still some things that just haven't quite caught yet?
That's a couple of good questions.
Thank you.
As to the first one, I actually feel I'm more forgiving of bugs because I've been there, did that. There's a lot of games. So though obviously we'll be sticking primarily on Destiny, one of the other games that I play a lot is Star Citizen, and the reason I want to bring that up is it's a game in progress. It's literally an in development game. And the thing that makes me want to bring it up is that you'll run into bugs constantly in there because it's not shipped, it's not done, and a lot of people will get very frustrated by those bugs. I tend to be pretty forgiving because I can see the thread. I can see the connection from the fault typically to where the problem is, and I can understand kind of what they're going through to try to fix this, to accomplish this, what they're doing to achieve it. And bring it back to Destiny 2, it's kind of a very similar issue, where number one, right now they're very undermanned. There's a whole thing about the people that are working at the company versus the company itself. The people that are working there are very passionate about the game. Like, they love their game, they want it to be the best, but they're kind of working to the bone because they've got less people than they did even a year ago. And so when I run into problems in the game, I could see why a lot of people would get kind of frustrated and just sort of be like, okay, I'm out. And admittedly, if there's bugs that prohibit me from literally playing the game, that might be the case for the day. I'll be like, okay, I'm good, I'm out. Not much I can do at the moment, but yeah, I'll just give them some time, let them try to fix it. And the primary reason for that is because like it takes a lot to make a game. It's not just code. There's also a lot of creative moving parts, and understanding that all of these things are like tiny gears that move in multiple dimensions. They're not just, like making circles. They're circles and rotating. They're just doing crazy stuff all over the place. It it gives me a little bit more leniency on kind of where the game works and where the game faults. But the one thing I will say, and this is something they've been really working on for the last year or so, is trying to figure out how to keep the game compelling is a real feat, especially at this point. We're 10 years in. We're 7 years into D2, but we're 10 years into Destiny. And they just wrapped up like their big 10-year saga. I mean, I can't think of pretty much any other game or honestly any sort of IP where they, really put so much effort into trying to wrap it up as cleanly as possible. The correlation I've used quite a few times is it's like Lost, because there were so many hanging threads, dangly little story bits that they kept for the multiple years, and then they had to kind of wrap it up last second. They're like, okay, last year, wrap it all up, and they did what they could, but it wasn't exactly a fully satisfying ending for most people. And in the same way, it's like they're trying to do that with this as well, where they're trying to wrap up so many threads. And admittedly, anybody that really is kind of dug into the narrative of D1, the initial vanilla launch of D1 was literally a 6-month Hail Mary where they changed the entire storyline. So like all of the stuff that we now consider like long hanging threads that were very mysterious at the beginning were literally kind of crafted last minute because the story just didn't hit when they were about ready to ship. And so taking that very roughshod beginning that I feel did a good job, like it obviously it worked for 10 years, but still very, kind of roughly hewn, and trying to wrap that into a story that actually had some emotional depth, that had some intricacies to keep it compelling, and close it with a neat enough little bow that you feel like you've you feel like you've put this saga down by itself. You're trying to do your end game to bring it to Marvel, is an amazing feat. But the problem is now just like a lot of people say about Marvel post Endgame, they have to try to figure out, how do we continue this? Number one, how do we continue this with less people? Number two, how do we continue this and keep it feeling like Destiny, but make the story not feel like a retread of the saga they just did? And then the third one, and this is where I feel like they're having the hardest time, how do we move forward with modernizing the game? Because this game, they add more functionality, more mechanics, more interesting little bits that kept people coming back, but it still feels a little dated. Like the engine is good for like 5 years ago. It is not a modern engine anymore. The mechanics are kind of bound to the interacting systems that they built 7 years ago. It's not like we've changed the click X to interact. There's a lot of stuff that is very dated. How do you take this opportunity to modernize it? And then the last part for me, at least, the episode feature that they've been working on for the last 9 months or so, kind of comes down to how do we deliver content. That really, I feel like, is the experiment they've been trying to figure out this year, because episode 1 was about, well, let's see if we keep content coming in continually throughout the entire episode, does that work? People weren't happy with the time gating on that. I totally understand that. This episode, they're like, okay, no time gating, done, here you go. Everyone was finished in a week, and they're like, there's literally nothing to do. I understand that. And apparently there was the TWID, This Week in Destiny, just came out today, and they're talking about the third episode, the final episode before the next expansion, Heresy. And they're talking about how they're going to go back to time gating, but they want to try to front load a lot of the big stuff, so you're not time gated from like features, but you're just time gated on content. And I'm kind of curious how that's going to end up. I predict we'll probably have the same issues people are going to complain about in episode 1. Finding that balance is super hard, because this is something I've had conversations with a lot of people, specifically time gate versus non-time gate, because if you give everyone the content immediately, we are a binging culture. I mean, Netflix is built around that. We will, if you give people a month's worth of content, they will get it done in 2 days, and they'll be like, boy, why'd you front load everything? That took so long, and now there's nothing left. It's like, well, I was supposed to tide you over for 2 months. I mean, honestly, you guys may not see this, but I'm a big dude. The jokey version would be if you gave me a month's worth of freaking oatmeal cream pies and you came back 2 days later and I'm like, dude, I'm out of oatmeal cream pies. You're like, well, I mean, I gave you 2 months worth. And I'm like, well, that was 2 months? Oh, I thought that was just a weird alternate for a really tasty lunch, breakfast, and dinner. And that's kind of, I feel like, what is kind of tricky. If you don't put locks in place, people are going to finish it, because they're hungry. They want as much as they can. But likewise, if you put locks in place so people have to do it piece by piece, then they're like, dude, I finished this in a minute, and now I got to wait a week, and then I'm gonna play for another minute, and then wait a week. It's really a hard thread to kind of poke into a quilt. That was a weird metaphor, but there you go.
Well, now it brings up a point, because as you were explaining it, at least with the story portion of things, at least the narrative end of things, you made a lot of similar points that remind me a lot of how Final Fantasy XIV, and I know that you've scratched the surface of it, you're not very familiar with it, but you know of the game, and you know its premise and the backstory behind it. Final Fantasy XIV being a very narrative-driven MMO, it had its very rough start, but which is why they completely did the reboot in recreating, A Realm Reborn. Do you actually feel that in a lot of ways that's what Destiny 1 was, and Destiny 2 is kind of its Realm Reborn, so to speak, and it tried to kind of bring back what they were intending to do, just again a different changing of the guard and whatnot? And we're going to talk more on the addressing the elephants of Destiny 2, and we'll probably do that after the ad break. But this was the question I wanted to grab with you right now.
Sure. So, well, there's a little bit of history on that's kind of disappeared, because Bungie had been its own entity for now quite a while. Now it's owned by Sony, but there's this big gap where it was independent. Before that, it was publishing through Activision. It wasn't owned by Activision, but they were the publisher. And when you have a developer, you have a developer that works with a publisher, there may not be an ownership, but there are firm agreements, because it's kind of the publisher sort of owns the keys to the castle. That's how you're going to get the game out. And one of the things that Activision required was that this was going to be an annual franchise. So basically, imagine your Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, etc. It was supposed to come out annually, and that's biannually, not annually. So originally the plan was D1 comes out. They were going to have 2 expansions come out to tide it over. It took a little longer than they planned, and so they had the Rise of Iron expansion come out to stall it, and then out came D2. It was supposed to be basically that each one was kind of a quote throwaway game, in that you can always go back to it, put the disc in, keep playing, but the story ended right then and there. And so in terms of kind of to your question about was this kind of their reboot, partially, in that it was a new version of the game, so they had the opportunity to kind of set a few things right that they wanted to. But I don't feel like Destiny 2 was built off of the ambition to right the ship, in as much as it was a business requirement to continue moving forward. The thing is, as far as I've read and heard from developers at Bungie, they didn't want to go that route. They wanted basically Destiny to just be like a classic MMO, where it's like, here's the one game and we just continue building on top of it. And that's what they did with Destiny 2. Once they were unshackled, they basically trashed the idea at the time of Destiny 3, and then started moving towards Destiny 2 being this long extended singular MMO, and you just buy expansions for it, which they did for multiple years. That I feel like, and this is definitely the key word here is feel. I feel like the expansions are where they did some of that course correction. Where I really felt it kind of started taking place was Beyond Light. The introduction of the darkness as a direct foe, and the reintroduction of the stranger, and the storylines that kind of started really solidifying the rules of what light and dark were. Because before that, the darkness was, and this is ironically, they've stated in multiple posts on their site that they want to kind of get back to this, and I kind of dig with this vibe. The mysteriousness of before that made it really kind of hard for us to really kind of understand like the rules of the world. There was light, there was dark. If you aren't light, you're dark. And so because of that, you had the Elixni, the Elixni didn't exist at that point. The Fallen, because they didn't even have a term for the race. They were just this term. They had the Fallen, they had the Hive, they had the Cabal. Those were all considered darkness. Like, even though now we have more specific nuance to their stories and such, but they were the darkness, and we were the light, and we would, fight, and we're stopping, a nebulous evil that may or may not ever show up. Then they started codifying it with Beyond Light, turning it into a more specific narrative. We learned about the pyramids as they were appearing. This was really Season of the Arrivals, where the pyramids showed up, but that was like a preview to the narrative. We started learning about the pyramids. We learned about God dang it, what's his face? The main bad guy. I keep thinking in my head the stranger. The Witness, yeah.
Yeah, the stranger.
They do love nouns.
Slender Man.
In that game.
Slender Man. Let's call it what it really is.
Bob Slenderman with his smoky head. They started really kind of making things finite. But the thing about myth, which is a big part of what was so compelling about Destiny, at least for me, started falling back. It's not myth and legend anymore if you can touch it, if it's concrete, if it's solid. And from the stuff I've been reading, they've kind of realized that as well. Like, there's no mystery to the world. Everything, even if it's pseudoscience and, quasi-magi science, it's still all tangible now. What used to be mystical arc energies and, solar energies, etc., they now have all these paracausal definitions, and there's science, meta science in the game that can utilize this as if it was just standard electricity. The darkness isn't a mystical force. It's been explained as a natural shaping force. It's the spiritual and the mental, while the light is more of the physical and the forming. And all this stuff really kind of codifies things. It takes less of that magic away. It's kind of like if you imagine Lord of the Rings, only the Maiar are just guys that can, channel electricity from the earth. Like a good example would be when if you remember watching, I'm going to say watching because the visual part is I think the key here. If you remember watching Fellowship, and they're walking through the mountains trying to find a way into Khazad Dûm, and you start seeing like these smoke clouds, the dark clouds appearing that Saruman's channeling. Like you don't see Saruman like directly connected to him. You see him chanting, and then in the distance the clouds are building. Like that still has sort of a mystical nature. We don't have to know in sort of the classic D&D sense, well, he was chanting this specific spell and he pulled out these physical components and cast them to the sky. Like you don't need to know any of that stuff. It's mystical. It's magical.
It sounds like Santa Claus when you say it like that, though. It's like you don't have to see to believe. It's rather believing is seeing.
Exactly. It's like actually Santa Claus is a great example. If you witnessed Santa Claus, the process of him going up and down the chimney, you know more about the quote science of it because you would have witnessed it than if you just hear that that's how he moves. Like it's the classic supernatural ninja type trope where you're talking to Batman does this a lot, and I feel this is actually more mystical and legendary. You have Commissioner talking to Batman. He turns to look at something. He then turns back, and Batman's just gone. You don't need to show him, pulling out the batarang or the bat hook and shooting it into the sky and flying off into up towards the top of a skyscraper. That ruins it. That gives it grounding. It makes it too factual. Mm-hmm. But if you talk to him, you turn around, you turn back, and he's gone, that's mystical. That's magical. And that's more compelling when you're talking about something that's supposed to be mythical and legendary. And that's something I feel like the game kind of lost a little bit in the narrative. And I do hope that they're able to find a way to kind of recapture that. And I think going out to the frontiers, going out into space, if that is what we end up doing, is going to give them a lot of room for that, because everything outside of the solar system is unknown. Like, yes, we've got stories from the Elixni, stories from the Hive, stories from the Cabal, but that's it. They're literally just stories. They're rumors, they're tales. We don't know anything that's out there, and so they've got a lot of room to add more smoke and mirrors to make you feel like a small person in a big universe. And I really hope they're able to do that. But that's kind of the catch. I feel like the catch 22 of, in order to make things make you feel more powerful, you have to define them, because that definition weakens the thing you're fighting. It's less that we have become more powerful, though mechanically we definitely have, but it's more about defining your evil. If you define your evil, it has limitations, and if it has limitations, you can defeat it. And that's basically what we did. And now we've beaten it, and there's nothing we have to be afraid of. The darkness doesn't scare us anymore, because we know what the darkness is. Before it was mysterious and scary. Now it's just meh. Here we are.
Darby hears the darkness also, and he's just like, Mom, there is darkness going on somewhere. So I'm going to apologize for him barking, because he's got thoughts about everything that you're saying. But I do want to take a slight tangent into another direction, because this is a Phantasy Star content channel here, and I do stream Phantasy Star content. The biggest reason I wanted to bring you on here was because, and I thought you would be the key focal person for this, because I actually happened to see a Reddit post many years ago showing the comparisons between Destiny and Phantasy Star. As mentioned before, there's 3 core races in Destiny, as there are 3 core races in Phantasy Star as well, between the classes, the mags, the content of picking up rare drops and exotic loot. It's even been said in earlier developer streams that a lot of inspiration of what they took from to create Destiny was picked up from the the Phantasy Star franchise. I'm curious as to how much you know about Phantasy Star, or has it ever actually piqued your interest to kind of want to see, you've kind of really immersed yourself and put so much of yourself and enveloped yourself into this Destiny world. Do you ever take a step back and wonder, like, I wonder where it pulled these inspirations from other games? Because I know that Destiny pulled itself with inspiration from other games, not just Phantasy Star. And I was always kind of curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Well, I mean, to answer the specific one about Phantasy Star, I will say back in the, God, what was it? Is that early 90s? late 80s, something like that. Unfortunately, I don't know the full timeline for Fantasy Star, but I think it was one of the earliest versions. There was a version I was really interested in. I couldn't afford it at the time because I was a po kid, but there was a version I was really excited about getting into. My my first real RPG experience was I got a free copy of Dragon Warrior for re-upping my subscription to
Ah.
Nintendo Power.
Mm-hmm.
And that then got me into like the RPG universe where I was like, wait a minute. This actually does tie into like even my love for games now. The concept of persistence was introduced to me. I mean, I played Zelda. Zelda was actually I had the gold cart Zelda for my Nintendo, and that blew my mind away because if I turned it off and I turned it back on because of the battery inside, it was available as a save, and I was like, wait, that's amazing. And now stuff like Dragon Warrior, where I could like turn it off, turn it on, and I'm like literally hours into a game. I was like, wait a minute, you can play for hours? I thought Nintendo games, the most you could do is like 3 hours, but when you die, you're done, and that blew my mind. I then started getting into Final Fantasy, and as we started watching consoles evolved, so we could have more complex games. Some of the big thing for me was the limitation. Ironically, was the consoles because I couldn't afford those, but I was able to witness kind of the growth of like more in-depth RPGs. Like there was one when I was younger, I was so excited to play called Ys, which I used to call Wise all the time. And
Oh, uh-huh. Yep, I know
and
that one.
I remember looking at that. I can't even remember what system it was on because it was on multiple systems, but I'm trying to remember which one I saw it on. I think it was the Sega CD specifically because it had actual like anime imagery in it as opposed to it just being, like pixel art. And I was like, dude, you can do this in a game. It's like watching an anime and you get to play it. And it blew my mind. And then
Oh.
about that same time, we started hearing about, connect your console to a modem. And that was roughly about when I heard about Fantasy Star. I
Oh, the
think it
Sega
was,
Dreamcast. That's
yeah, it was the
2000.
Dreamcast era.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so that was one I was really kind of interested in because I remember Fantasy Star, just no other parts to the name, just Fantasy Star coming out. And I was like, that sounds cool. But it was, if I remember, it was a Genesis game, the original Fantasy Star.
Yeah, it
And
was
I
one of the
could,
early Sega Genesis ones in North America.
yeah. And I couldn't, I didn't have a Genesis. Like I was able to just barely, through conniving and cajolery, get Super Nintendo. I wasn't able to get a Genesis, but I looked at that and I was just like, that looks like my kind of thing. So it was like combine the Final Fantasy of it, the Zelda of it, the Dragon Warrior of it, and give it more of an anime vibe. And I'm like, that sounds amazing. So there was a point where I was like, okay, I want to try that. I wasn't able to because I didn't have the system. Then we got to online. I'm like, wait, now we could try this online. Wanted to try that. But by the time I was able to do it, that was about the point where Dreamcast started kind of imploding. And I was like, damn it. But I like my little Tamagotchi controller. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm. And I actually own a refurbished one for it. For the experience alone, having that online experience, playing in real time with other players, that was that was unfathomable to so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Being like, that's a thing you could play. Like, are you sure they're not like computers? Those are actually real people on
Yeah.
the other end of it. And I think that's really kind of what changed the state of what we see today as the, modern MMO. And it's
Mm-hmm.
mind blowing to see where we started from. So,
Well, I originally, God, I was in like 12 or so. I was able to get a 300 baud modem for my Commodore 64,
oh
and
wow.
yeah, and I would log into local BBSs all the time. And one of the ones that blew me away was Lord, Legend of the Red Dragon. It was a door game you could get on BBSs, and the thing I loved about it was you could interact with other people, but even then, it wasn't direct interaction. It was effectively kind of like a message board, where it was like you did your fighting, and then you could like send something to your friend, like send a sword or something to your friend, and then they could send you stuff, but you're still not directly interacting in that sense. And so it was like I started seeing the potential for online games at that point, but it wasn't until like that era with the modem, specifically like Fantasy Star, that kind of got me in. The first MMO I ever played was EverQuest, and I almost didn't my friends started playing it while I was at a con over a weekend. Like literally, I went to dang it, what's it called? Anime Expo, or not Anime Expo? That's down in LA. God, what was it called?
Wait, are you
It's
talking about the one
the
in
one
New
up here.
York?
No. It's the one here in Pacific Northwest. It was super tiny at the time, but now it's huge over
Oh, it's
here.
not Emerald
Um,
City. Not
no.
PAX East. What are you thinking of? What do you think?
Oh, it's gonna bug me. It's an actual anime. Let me.
You better look that up because I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, what is that? What is that?
SakuraCon. There we go.
Oh,
SakuraCon.
SakuraCon. Okay.
So yeah, I was there over the weekend. I went over Friday. I came home on Sunday, and I saw my roommate and friend literally just glued to their PCs, and they're like, "We've been playing EverQuest all weekend." I was like, "What the hell is what is that?" They're like, "It's amazing. We could all play at the same time." And like my dad's like one like requirement when I was younger came into mind, where he was like, you never sign up for a subscription to anything. He was one of those kind of guys like, don't sign up for a subscription. I was like, but you have to give them your like credit card stuff. It's like, it's amazing, you do it anyways. And so we ended up I picked that up, and that was like, I think like the next 5 years of gaming for me was that. And then like as other MMOs started popping up, we'd play those. So went through like Dark Age of Camelot and Anarchy Online and WoW, of course, when it came out. Like all these, as the games were coming out, like we would just pick up every single one and be like, this is cool, this one's gone, this one's cool, this one's gone. EverQuest was there throughout all of them though. But yeah, that was when I finally started seeing like the potential of, you know, because by this point online was a thing, but it was like Halo, you could do 4 people, right? Something like that, you know, 4-player type games, you know, LAN party type games. But this is a game where when you log in, you're in a world with your buds, you know, with your pals. And that was new to me. That was completely new. I had never seen that as a possibility where all of us could literally from our own homes join up and do stuff. And then, you know, once we found out about raids and all that kind of stuff, forget it, we were gone. And yeah, that built up there. I feel like I might have gone on a tangent to your question though, but yeah.
No, listen, the only reason I asked it is because, again, this is a Phantasy Star, you know, content channel, but I really do feel that there's a lot of, you know, parallels between Phantasy Star and its JRPGs to Destiny, and there's a lot of inspiration that, you know, kind of goes back and forth between the two. So I was always curious as to, you know, I have seen your world, I have played your games. When is the day that I'm going to get Solstice to come into Phantasy Star Online? What?
Well, there you go.
It could just be one collaborative stream, but I think I definitely would love to see what you would choose, because I don't know what character class you would choose, and just see. Obviously,
Hunter
it's going to
main,
be.
of course.
It's no, you cannot stop saying that because you're not a hunter main. We have to. Why must we keep bringing this up? You're not a hunter main. You're a Titan main. So you'd probably play a hunter class, which, I mean, that's fine. You could also play a warlock. You could throw me off. I don't know.
You know, that's the most sense I think I've heard out of this whole conversation about the mains, where you said, because I'm a Titan main, I'll pick a hunter. I'm like, yeah, that matches.
No. The hunter. Okay, wait. No, let me hear. Wait a minute. I gotta explain myself here. The hunter parallel in Phantasy Star is the Titan class in Destiny. And then
is that where the confusion comes from?
No, not at all. I am not done. So there's a Ranger class in Phantasy Star, which later parallels to the Hunter class in Destiny. And then the Force class in Phantasy Star parallels to the Warlocks of Destiny. So when I say Hunter, you say main. Ready? Or no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Fuck. I had one job and you screwed me up. When I say Hunter, you say Titan. This is why we can't have nice things like friendships. How dare you? All right, folks, we're coming up on an ad break very, very shortly. So first and foremost, if you are not a subscriber of the channel, first and foremost, don't worry about it. If you would like to become a subscriber of the channel, you can. When you do, if you subscribe to the channel, you can subscribe using your sweet loots, or you can also use your free Prime Gaming sub. And when you do, you will get to enjoy all continued streams with ad-free viewing. In addition, you have emotes, which you can use across all of Twitch. And then if you are a member of our Discord, which I'll type in here right now for you, we actually have a subs only Discord, which you guys can get exclusive sneak peeks as to what is going on the channel. Let me see if I can actually type this properly. If not, if somebody wants to do that for me, that would be great. As well, you could also have a handwritten card sent to you. But if you don't want to use your subscription, just you being here and just you supporting this channel and listening to me and Solstice ramble on and on and on is the absolute coolest thing ever. Again, you guys are witnessing a very cherished friendship to its core. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 3-minute break. You guys can get up, take a bio break if you need to, grab something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, and we're just going to chill out here, and we will be picking up the rest of the interview in just a few minutes. So it's going to be a 3-minute ad break. We will be right back. Hey.
I just noticed something.
What's that?
So there's a Twitch drop thing going on right now, and because we're in Destiny 2, I got the drop. So yay.
Oh,
emblems.
Did I just give you a drop?
Yeah, you got me my emblem. Golden hour.
Thank you. I do what I can. Everybody, if you play Destiny, you can do that now. You can totally do that now with no qualms. But
drops are the best.
Oh man, I can't wait till we get to this next portion. This is where we're going to be talking for quite a bit. This is where it's about to go down, because now we're going to talk about Bungie. It's French. Bungie. That's right. I'm so bungie. Oh, and I have to keep moving around because I don't know if there's an idle state in.
I've been wiggling my controller too.
Oh, have you been wiggling?
Yeah.
I can't wiggle with my couch, so I try to.
So if you use your camera wiggle, you don't have to move, but your camera will wiggle.
So like
for me, it's the right stick. Isn't it?
No, coughs. It's the worst. Being sick is no fun. Being sick is no bueno. Would not wish that upon anyone. Do you want to if you want, yeah, you're welcome to take a seat here. I'm just going to keep motioning towards someone else until you admit that you're finally a Titan main. So, hello, Lantis. How are you? Hello. How are you doing? We're currently in Destiny 2 with our dear friend, Worlds Told. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to make sure that I also put up the Discord link as well as the Worlds Told. If you guys have been enjoying what you've been listening to so far, you can also follow Worlds Told here on Twitch. So go send support and go send some love. He streams a lot of immersive, story-driven games, and he himself is a pretty rad guy. If you also love puppies, he has the cutest little puppers in the world. It's a good time.
Science fact.
So
I mean, Darby ain't no slouch, of course.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean, everybody knows what Darby looks like. Darby has his actual own emote here on the channel. I don't know if you've seen it.
Ooh,
let me see if I can find the Darby emote. There it is. There's the Darby emote. He comes in the form of iDarby. That's what he looks like. He's the goodest boy.
It's cute.
He is a good boy. Can't complain. Yeah.
You always can trust a streamer if their emotes are their pets. Like there's my 07.
Oh,
yeah, look at him.
So wait, is that the rules? Is that the streamer rules? Is that if they have an emote of their pets, they're by far ready to be trusted?
Yeah, they're good people.
Is that written somewhere?
They're trustworthy.
Is that written?
It is written. It's written in the Book of Dog.
The Book of Dog.
The Book of Dog.
The Book of Doggo. See, Arya had her own emote for a while, and then she ended up getting a brother. So I was like, I can't put one up without the other. So I have to work on that. You know what I mean?
That's science fact.
Yeah, we do what we
apparently you need to subscribe to get the emblem. And since I subscribed, I got it.
Oh, okay. Wait, you have to subscribe to what?
You have to subscribe to the person that's streaming it. So since you're streaming it and I subscribe to Pizza Made, I got one.
You subscribe to Pizza Made? What?
I did.
You're crazy.
Like some sort of crazy hunter main.
Oh my God. How dare you say you're not a hunter main. You're a Titan main.
But I subscribe to you. That's what hunter mains do. They subscribe to Pizza Made.
I mean, listen, not wrong, accurate, but that doesn't make you a Titan or a hunter. You know what? We're back on. So thank you so much. Thank you for confusing me and me fumbling over my own words. This is quite literally Star Wars: The Old Republic all over again. We're right back where we started from.
It's a gift. Oh, speaking of gifts, let's do this thing over here.
Lantis. Oh, what? Sir? Sir, you just gifted all of these gift subs. My goodness. Oh,
It's the
my
gift
goodness.
that keeps on giving.
Thank you so much.
What us hunter mains do.
Oh my goodness. I can't. I want to be mad right now, but you gave gifted subs to the channel. You support the channel? I'm so mad right now. Okay, I do have to give out these thank yous to the gifted subs. First and foremost.
I got points.
Why? You know how this pineapple works. Why, Solstice?
I do.
Why do you do these things?
Because the people like it.
So you do this for the people. This is what happens. There's a little pineapple mafia that is forming right now. You're creating the pineapple mafia. This started with one person and it's now just grown. It's a pineapple family organization. This is a crime syndicate. Obligatory anime reference. That is the best name ever. Oh my gosh, I'm laughing so hard, I'm coughing. Thank you so much for the follow. And again, thank you so much, Worlds Told, for the gifted subs. Let's give some quick thanks to those new subscriptions. Jaina Bay, Pokiel the Storyteller, Toma Tungstein, Professor Doc, and Mr. Mongoose. Thank you all for enjoy your gift subs. Give a huge thanks to Worlds Told. And let me also be sure to give... Oh, he's back! Oh God, he's back! Yeah, guess what that stream that one was from. I bet you don't know. I bet you don't know. But let me give a quick shout out as well over to you, Worlds Told. If you guys aren't following, we are back in action with our episode tonight of Margarita's Happy Hour, where we are interviewing our dear friend Worlds Told, who just gifted 5 subs to the channel. Worlds Told, Solstice, Titan Main, thank you so much. I'm not ready to admit you're a hunter main. I'm not. It's not in me just yet. It's not in me.
I understand. Denial is hard to conquer. I get it.
It is not denial. It's not denial. And I saw some new folks also coming in as well. Lantis Grayfield, the Lantis from Affinia. Thank you so much for stopping by and enjoying the interview. I see Professor Doc's in here as well. King Boshi, that sofa's pretty sick. And Mr. Mongoose sending a thank you to you. Now, kids, we're going to have the serious adult talk. Are you ready? We're going to address it. Solstice, I brought you here for one reason and one reason only. To explain why you're truly a Titan main. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the question. We have to, I think, really address the state of Bungie right now. And you kind of went into it with a couple of your questions earlier. But we need to talk about we've talked about the game and its, combat mechanical issues. I think we also need to address the room about what we're seeing on the outside. And I feel that you give a great perspective of this. Again, being that you worked in the video games industry, the changes that they've made, the layoffs. You brought up already the episodic content and, how it jumps from thing to thing to thing. I really want to get your honest insight on all of it. And I know that you are a very positive person. I know you're very much a glass is half full kind of individual. So I know that you'll put it in a very constructive and positive spin. Or you might just be like, no, this is a fucking dumpster fire. I don't really quite know. Lantis, thank you so much for the gifted sub as well. Fuji Cow, thank you as well for the subscription and for the follow. Thank you so much. But I think we do need to address this. And I'm very curious as to get your thoughts on... Do you think where we are now is an early indicator of what to expect for Frontiers? And is this something that we should be excited about or something we should be worried about?
It's a tough one to say. I mean, the one thing
no, actually,
trying
this
to figure out how to. Oh, go ahead.
No, Simodian said this interview is an entire email intervention. So never mind. Forget what I even asked you. It's an email intervention. No, I'm sorry. Go back to what you're saying. Thanks, Simodian.
Oh, hold on. That does remind me of a very important.
No.
Let's see.
No, don't do it.
220,307 right now.
Wait, 220,307 unread emails?
Yes.
No, you did not.
Yeah.
No, you did not.
We're working on this. Hold on. Let me see if, spam comes in. It might go up in a moment.
The poor man is sick. Are you trying to put him on a hospital bed? You know his heart can't take this. You know how his heart gets when you tell him about that.
It's gonna make him stronger.
It is not. It is not. And yes, Pyro, I do play Destiny 2. There is a point redeem. And also, Worlds Told plays Destiny 2. He plays it a lot more than I have. He's a Titan main. So, I'm sorry. To get back to your question, though, before we go on another tangent. Destiny 2, the future. Are we fucked?
Yes.
Are we fucked? It's just a flat-out question.
Because the question really kind of comes down to what is the definition of fucked? No matter what happens, Destiny 2 is going to be around for a while. Like they could literally decide they're not adding any more content, and similar to Destiny 1, it's going to be sitting there, and it'll just be running on Sony servers, doing its Destiny 2 thing for a while to come. But realistically, I don't even expect that to be the worst, or like the crappy case scenario. I'll put it that way. I am confident that Destiny 2 at least has like a couple years of new content life in it. The question for me really becomes like the scope of that content, because it could be my biggest worry is that it could be just a case of fulfilling minimum requirements, fulfilling minimum wishes, where the expansions are just here's some new guns, maybe here's a new re-scrambling of a game style, and here's like 3 steps in a quest, and we call it a day. We're already kind of seeing that direction with Frontiers, but there are some caveats here. There's a lot of caveats actually.
Yeah.
I'll try to list the ones I can think of, but I mean this is something I've discussed with people offline for months on end, and there's just little pieces here and there that kind of all add together, and so trying to recall them all in a single interview segment can get kind of interesting. So first off, Bungie is effectively kind of transitioning into a wholly owned Sony studio. That is neither good nor bad. That is just kind of the fact. How that impacts things are, number one, there's a lot of transitioning of leadership. And leadership is, I mean, the developers make the game. The developers are the guts of it. But what is allowed to be made is the responsibility of leadership. So as leadership changes, what we're going to see in terms of product is going to change. It doesn't mean drastically, it could, but it doesn't mean drastically. But at the very least, it changes the focus of what's being worked on. This could be the difference between having a large PvE content drop of story versus focusing completely on increasing the quality of Crucible. Like those are kind of the, like as an example, one scale that you can look at. What their priorities are going to be unique to what they see in terms of what's missing, what's needed, and what they want. And so that's the fact that we're changing leadership so heavily right now is a big thing. A lot of the creative leadership has left over the last year, and that's a combination of two things. One, there have been extensive layoffs. That is a big part of it. But two, people that have been there for years are done with what they wanted to do with the game. Namely, the saga is over. That's what they are kind of considering their demarcation point. And in the game industry, honestly, it is considered a rarity for anybody to stick around in a single role in a studio, let alone a franchise, for more than roughly about 3 years. People move around a lot. There's multiple reasons for it. One is they want a new challenge. Two is they want to keep current with tech, because if you're with a game that has been around for 5 to 6 years, if not more, they're still more than likely using the same tech that they were using then. So you kind of start falling behind because tech's changing like on an annual basis, if not more often.
Yeah.
So the biggest opportunity to learn new stuff is to go where the new stuff is. So they, a lot of times, devs and artists, like especially digital artists, will be swapping jobs because it's how they keep current. Three, just creative fulfillment. They Part of what makes a game good, and this is even on the technical side, on the coding side, is a passion for what you're working on. The nice thing is, despite probably a lot of cynicism in the industry, most games are worked on people who are in love with their game. That's what brought them there. It's also, as a side note, why typically software developers in the game industry get paid so poorly, because they can leverage that. But that's a whole separate conversation, and that's not unique to Bungie.
Well,
But
I want to interject right there, though,
for sure.
because I think you brought up a very valid point. Is a lot of those
Mhm.
people that are involved in those games, they love that game, and a lot of those people, especially in the creative fulfillment and the creative development department, they
Mhm.
saw that as their baby, and they wanted to see their baby flourish. How
Mhm.
many of them? And I'm asking this as an honest, just opinion. Of course, we don't know the facts. We don't know the, actual behind the scenes stuff. We only know what's ever been presented to us. How many
Mhm.
of them willingly left and how many of them got let go? And that is, I think, two important things that need to, it's something that we're constantly addressing, but there's always, a mixed bag, when it comes to
Yep.
that.
Yep. It is kind of interesting. Most likely, if you heard about during the waves of layoffs last year, if you heard about someone leaving and they weren't part of leadership, if they weren't director level or higher, they probably were let go.
Yeah.
And they've been number one. There are, because it's a U.S. company, there are requirements for them to report like layoffs of any major scale, like to state government and to federal government. Because number one, state government, they have to do it for unemployment insurance purposes, and for federal government, they have to do it because they're publicly traded companies, because they're part of Sony now. They have to be able to track that stuff for their own purposes.
Yeah.
So that stuff gets very vocal, and so it's very much, if they got let go during that phase, they're probably also very open about it. But a lot of them will have NDAs where it's like they can't disparage where they came or where they left from. So it'll be like, I left, da 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 da, and we're on to new things. If you went to their LinkedIn's, that's typically what you're gonna see. When I got laid off from my last game studio because they folded, I kind of went through the same thing, and it's just part of I mean, for better and for worse, it's part of the whole severance process. It's like, if you want your severance pay, don't be poo-pooing us. And it's like, that's fair. I mean, if you're going to give us money, but simultaneously, if there's nefarious things going on, then it's like, well, do you want to take the pay, or do you want to do the right thing? And that's where it gets kind of weird. But I don't, as far as I know, I don't feel like there's any nefarious stuff going on with Bungie, other than just kind of poor planning, poor leadership choices that really kind of blew them up. And there's some other stuff, and we'll probably go into that a little bit later on. But in terms of the higher ups, though, they will typically have in their because, like I said, these are the people that are going to be responsible for the choices, the decisions, etc. They will typically have in their severance and their NDA literally that they cannot discuss the reasons for their leaving. So that's when you'll start getting the question marks of when they say, well, I've decided to leave the company. It's like, did you? Were you part of the layoffs? And they can't say. And so it's like, guessing is literally just that. Unless there's evidence, it's all going to be guesswork. So you just kind of have to leave it where it's at. Or if you've got personal thoughts, like, I feel like it could be that this person was laid off, then that, you're just as justified feeling that way. But yeah, with the layoffs, it is kind of interesting, like in terms of people that chose and otherwise. Now, the thing is, there were a few very notable people that were like, when this person left, I'm like, I don't want to work here anymore. So they left. So there are a few like knock-on people that left because layoffs do affect morale. There's also a very legit thing called survivor's guilt, which does happen when it comes to layoffs. Like, you may not have been the person laid off, but you're now feeling like, well, the person I worked with was. What did I do that was so much better than them? And it really can affect your work and your just emotional state. It's really rough when it comes to that process. I've been having been in the tech industry for almost 30 years. I've gone through God, probably about 6 or 7 rounds of layoffs in my career. And with the exception of like 2 of them, I've always been part of the group that was let go. And it's rough. But then the 2 times that I was there, I was just like, well, crap. Like the person that literally sat next to me is gone. What was the difference there?
Oh
And then you
God.
also start wondering, could I be next? Like that's
Mhm.
the thing. It's like, is this the beginning or is this the end? And in the case of Bungie, there were multiple rounds. There was a round in October 2 years ago. There was a round in January. There was a round in June. And like the first one, you're like, could it happen again? And then a couple months later, it did. And you're like, if you survive that, oh my God, is that it? Or are there more? You work your butt off, you get final shape out the door, and then there's a third round. And unfortunately, that last round is the hardest cut, because that's the one where it's like, we survived, we put our heart into it. This is where we turn Bungie around. This is where we make it a great place to work. We're going to show the world that we've got the passion to make this thing happen. They get it out, acclaim everywhere. Everyone's like, you know what? We think they did it. They made Final Shape. Final Shape, was amazing. Everyone loved it. Broadly, everyone loved it. And then another round. And the thing was, it sounds like that round was known for quite a few months, but they had to get that last little bit of, work to get it out the door. And so they couldn't tell them beforehand, because that would, of course, affect the deadlines and the quality of work. And that's the round of layoffs that, for me, the first one and the last one are the ones that kind of hurt the most.
Mhm.
And I follow a lot of the developers, well, now ex-developers for Bungie, and watching them kind of relive the pain each time a new round is kind of marked. It's hard. And I mean, part of it is
Mhm.
also, like I said, I've been through this a bunch of times. It always hurts watching something I am passionate about get affected that same way, because it's kind of like reliving it again.
Mhm.
It's a rough time. It hurts. It hurts a lot. And yeah, but that's kind of left the company very lean. So before all the layoffs happened, I believe the numbers roughly were, Bungie was a studio of about 1,600 people, and they were across the globe, but most specifically across the U.S. mostly. With, of course, a lot of them here in the Pacific Northwest. Bellevue is the headquarters for Bungie, which is just down the street from me. And it's really kind of hard to change your life. Like, there were people that took this job because it was the dream job, working for the dream company. They uprooted themselves, they moved across the country, some moved literally across countries to get here, and then in varying ranges of 3 years later all the way up to like 6 months later, you're told, yeah, we uprooted your life, but you don't have a job anymore. And that's rough. Now the thing is, like, that's taking like the status of Bungie out. This is for anybody that's had this happen, because this isn't unique to Bungie. Of course, layoffs have happened, especially in the tech industry, a lot over the last year, and it's just really hard to kind of deal with that. But like I was saying, it started at 1,600. Now it's roughly at about 800. They literally, over that year and a half period, lost half of their employees through this whole thing.
That's
And
insane.
a lot of leadership.
That
Yeah, it's
is
crazy.
insane.
It's crazy town. It's completely bonkers.
Ugh.
And because of that, like, it's hard for me. This is how come when we were talking about, what do I feel like the future is going to be? Do I think it's going to survive? It's really hard, because the people that are left, the lean pile of people that are left, want Bungie, or specifically they want Destiny to work. Number two, a lot of them still have a warm feeling for Bungie, the company, not necessarily how it's being led, but just the company. It's got, strong memories. People that remember it from, the Halo days. And, it's like, it was the dream maker and the rule breaker. It had this, great pedigree of, we want to make the best thing, and we want to, we don't care what other people think in terms of the rule sets. So when I worked at Microsoft for a shared tools group, and we would work with Bungie, and they got so many special exceptions. And that's, it sounds like I'm saying that with ire. No, I was just kind of amazed by it. They got so many special exceptions to how their studio ran, because they always made great product. Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, which and then ODST. ODST was I actually worked briefly at, well, for a couple of years over at 343, and I came on as they were starting to work on Halo 4. And during that time they were doing this handoff of like the core Halo tech. And I started right as Reach came out. And so it was kind of cool to be there during a Bungie Halo release, especially since this was their Halo Swan song. And then rewind about, God, was this about 8 years or so ago when I was working on that shared team. And I remember working with them because they it kind of imagine like a country, like Bungie is a country. They've got a kind of walled off border between them and Microsoftia, where we're working.
Microsoft.
and and basically we had to have these certain connections where it was like, okay, we need to be able to get data. And they also built a lot of the tools that we actually started using throughout the shared studio team. So like with Rare and trying to think, boy, it's been a while. Rare was another big one, but Rare, Forza, all those guys, we would share a lot of this software, and Bungie was the one that created a chunk of it, but we had to have a way to kind of connect it. But beyond that, they were their own thing. They were their own little world, and it worked because they would make this, great products. And that, when they put out Destiny, I was like, I remember when Destiny was first coming out, there was this big whole thing with Marty O'Donnell, who was the composer for all the Halo music, and they, let him go. And then there was this big lawsuit. I was just like, man, this is kind of, at the time, I was like, boy, that's a big smirch, man. I don't see how anything could be worse than this. Little did we know, fast forward 10 years later. But yeah, when that happened, I was just like, I don't understand, because, Bungie, at that point in my head, Bungie could do no wrong. They, working next to them, they did amazing stuff. Working as they handed off everything for Halo, they did amazing stuff. And then they, kind of went off and did their independent thing. And it just kind of felt like, the final scene of, that person finally getting what they wanted and then taking that flight, and you're just watching the plane go off into the sunset. And I was like, good for you guys. You totally did it. And then, like watching them grow, as a player, as a just a witness, seeing as they kind of they grew as a studio. They started looking at other ventures. They went from like this tiny little thing to this giant studio that they put together. And then you find out, oh yeah, they were just not funneling, but draining money like crazy, because they just had all these crazy ventures that didn't end up panning out. It was rough. It was a rough time. And yeah, it's tough with staff and that kind of a situation, because imagine coming into the company like, say, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you're like, well, man, this is the dream company. I even applied there a couple of times and got through a couple of rounds but didn't get in, and I was just like, well, that's something to strive for.
Mm-hmm.
And then watching as that company that you've really been kind of stoked about sort of implodes a little bit, because you find out they stretch themselves too thin, and then let themselves get bought at. That's the thing that kind of gets me. Now this I don't know if this is 100% true, so definitely don't consider this fact, but from what I've read, everything leans towards it. There've been a lot of articles about this, in that Bungie kind of knew the direction, the leadership wise, knew the direction it was going, and that was part of why it sold to Sony, because they basically overvalued the company so that Sony would give them a premium, and then they kind of left them with they sold the cow and got some magic. Sony got beans in return, basically. And they didn't know that they were kind of imploding, and they were like, most leadership was like, this, all we have to do is get this game out, get Final Shape out, and that at that point we will have hit most of our terms for getting vested. And that's how come some of the leadership, what some people believe is why some of the leadership left. It's like they got their money and they're like, dude, we've been doing this for like 30 years, we're good. Meanwhile, the people that are left, it's like, what about us?
That's insane. That is
right?
insane if that's true. Like,
If that's true is the key phrasing here, though.
Yeah,
So
if.
it's like it's
It's a
not known for
huge
facts,
if.
but yeah.
It's a massive, massive if, and we will definitely, consider it hearsay. It's,
Hmm.
whatever is circulating in the media, but we cannot confirm nor deny that. And let's be clear, even though we do investigative journalism here at Margarita's
Yes,
Happy Hour, this is
that's right.
quite literally grabbing your best beverage and sitting down and chatting with your friends. We are not that investigative. Like, I am not Michelle Pfeiffer and Robert Redford in that old movie from the 90s, which I can't remember what it was called.
Up close and personal.
That's the one. We're not getting trapped in a TV studio. Not today, kids. Not today.
Funny thing about that specific movie, I used to live near this really small, like two theater house nearby, and when that movie came in, they were looking for employees, and the kiosk or the marquee specifically said, and it cracks me up to this day. In order, it says now hiring Michelle Pfeiffer, Robert Redford, up close and personal, and I'm like, I don't think you could afford that.
It's like, nope, you cannot have any of that. Any of that. But, I do also want to take a moment. We have focused on Destiny. We've focused on Phantasy Star. We focused on your past experiences. But I want to take a moment to also talk about... Exactly. Thank you, Mongoose. Ladies and gentlemen, the views and opinions expressed on the show are not sponsored by this channel. We are not sponsored. I have no sponsorships. Radio Shack, hit me up if you're interested. I'm always looking. So you shoot me an email. Pizza made@pioneer23.moe. Just putting that out there if you're interested. Yeah, we've talked about your past. We've talked about our current experiences in Destiny. I want to take a moment to also focus on you and speak about your future. Where you've gone to this point. I mean, if you actually, it's funny because if you look at your figures, and I remember a long time ago when you and I, just privately chatting amongst friends, we were talking about our, our goals and our ambitions with our channels and what we would like to create content-wise, and, we'd like to see it flourish. We've kind of been there for each other through our highs and our lows, and we've really support each other along the way. I feel like you just jettisoned out of nowhere and just went balls out, because if memory serves me right, the last time I checked on a Twitch stream tracker, I think you're part of the top like 1.8% or the top 1.9% on your channel, which is nuts when you think about the followers and the viewership, and to see where you started.
Yeah,
It's insane to see where your numbers have come, but it makes sense because I think it's a testament to your character. It's a testament to your personality, your ambitions, and just making the impossible possible. But I do want to ask you then, and I feel that it's safe to say that at this point we can take a lot of lessons to learn from you as well. So I'm kind of curious as to, as you've gone through this journey from both the physical, the mental, the emotional, point of it, where do you feel that you can impart your pearls of wisdom to other aspiring content creators? And of course, no single content creator is alike. Every single content creator is different, but what do you feel would be some of
from the same cookie batch, cutter just right in.
I did not
literally
come from your
duplicated.
cookie batch. I am a hunter.
What are you
main.
talking about?
You did not come
from the
no
from the hunter cookie batch.
no. I see. We're gonna stop you right there because we are not from the same cookie jar. I am from the hunter main cookie jar. You're from the Titan main cookie jar. Radio Shack does still exist, by the way, Mr. Mongoose. It does still exist. But I am curious as to what your pearls of wisdom and what kind of sage wisdom you would impart upon people who are either, still actively looking to kind of push those thresholds in content creation, or maybe even people interested in starting out. Like, what would you share with people? The stuff that you kind of wish you knew in reflection.
Well, a couple of things I would. The very first thing I would say is like when I started, like I knew I was never gonna be like relative to the fields that I love. We never did end up talking about VTubers, so we got to hold some room for that.
Shit, yeah, that's right. Good call.
We never back to what I was talking about before.
Yep, we were talking about.
Words are hard, let me tell you. What I was thinking about, I knew I would never be like an Iron Mouse. I would never be even a Datto. Like, those are two people that I kind of, or a Sea Dog VA. Like, those are people I watch like on the macro scale, like the big boys, the big girls, these are the ones that are, making the dream, the theoretical dream come true. And I'm like, they do great. I'm not going to be that. Not specifically that I don't think I'm capable of it, but I know I'm not willing to put in what is needed to get to that point. I would love to do this full time, but I know realistically at this point that's not something I have the dedication to do. So that kind of calibrated me, because the thing is I don't I want to be successful. Now what that is, that's a great question.
Yeah,
But
what's your measure of success?
yeah, that's exactly the key thing. It's like what do I determine as successful? And honestly, I feel like what I feel is successful is when people are chatting with me. Like, doesn't need to be a large number. But it does it makes me feel like the purpose that I started doing this, which was to make friends, has come to fruition. The more people that are talking, like the more I feel like I'm in a room just talking with friends, the more I feel I've succeeded. But with that in mind, there are a couple of things. Now, keep in mind, I think these are probably also tinged with some of the neurospiciness that I've got in my skull. But they're things that I always have to kind of remind myself, because when it comes to streaming, you always kind of hope it's going to get easier. It never for me gets easier, but it always does get better. And that's the thing I think took me a while to kind of understand. Because I was like, oh, if I keep doing this, it's gonna become easier to do eventually. Like, I won't feel that anxiety when I start the stream. Like, is this going to be a good stream? Am I in the right place to be doing a stream? Like, all this stuff I'm going through in my head every time I start, every time. And I'm like, is this, am I going to feel worse after streaming? The answer is pretty rarely. Like, I rarely feel bad when I'm done with the stream, but it always goes through my mind. Like, am I going to feel like, boy, that was a good use of my time? Or am I going to be like, God, I just want to curl up in a corner? I always wonder that. Now, like I said, this is probably my skull, my neurospiciness talking, but it does get better. Like, the hardest part for me was when I first started streaming, and I would just be talking effectively to the air. Like, it was just me. That, I feel, is the hardest part of streaming. Is streaming by yourself is super super kind of like it's like looking in the mirror. It's like a reflection coming back at you, where all of the things that you're wondering, like, are you funny, are you amusing, are you, all the things that you want to be as a streamer, are you those things? And then the void, kind of bounces back, and you're like, oh God, maybe I'm not. The thing is, you're interesting. Everybody is interesting in their own unique way. And I know that's something that your mom or your dad would probably say, but eerily enough, they are super true. Everyone is compelling. If you've got a friend, if you've talked to someone and they smiled, then bing bang boom, you've got what it takes to be a streamer. And you just kind of have to fight that in the beginning. And that's the hardest thing. That's, I think, the worst fight I had to do. But once I started seeing one or two people, like, just talking, or, just like the occasional, hi, how are you? And it just light me up. It just felt great. Now it's to the point where, like, honestly, my chat usually comes in about a half hour after I stream, after I start streaming. And the thing is, like, in the beginning, I was like, God, I don't know. Maybe no one wants to see what I'm doing, to talk to me. And now I get to the point where I'm confidently like, oh, I'll just start talking, screwing around, being a goofball, blah, 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 blah. And about a half an hour later, like, two people come in, and then they stick around because we're having a great time. Two more people will come in because they're like, look, there's a channel with two people and they're playing something I want. And then, like, quite often now, and this is blowing my mind because this is relatively recent for me, so who knows if this is going to stay this way, but I'm going to ride it as long as I can. Like, I'll end a stream and I'll have, like, 15 people on the Twitch side. I'll even have like 10 people on the YouTube side. I started simul streaming, and it just blows my mind. I'm like, dude, was I that interesting? And I just got to tell myself, yes, I'm interesting enough. It's like the old Stuart Smalley, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. To that point, like, the super simple thing I would say, especially to new streamers, is number one, ignore the number. I know
Yes.
you're going to hear that from everybody. Everyone will say that.
Bless on that one. Speak it
But
loud.
but just ignore the number.
Mhm.
If you're brave enough, which I wasn't, click it so it just shows a dash. Like, hide that number. You don't need to know it, especially in the beginning. At best, it just makes you feel like you don't have enough. At worst, it makes you feel like no one's there. Like, there's nothing positive from that number when you first start.
Mhm.
What you got to do, and this kind of bleeds into my second thing, is talk as if people are there. Talk, if you're a lonely person and you just talk to yourself, do that. That's what I did for a while, and
I
honestly, it
Yeah.
worked so great. Because
Uh,
when you come into a stream, sorry, I'll finish this
no, go
part because
ahead.
I just realized I'm babbling. But if you come into a stream and you watch someone just quietly playing their game, like, you can do that yourself. No, very rarely do people want to just sit around watching you quietly play a game. They want to come by and be like, "Oh, dude, I just walked into the living room and you're having a great time. I'll sit on the couch with you." You know, they want to have that vibe. That's why they're there. It's that unique, special thing that makes you you. And number 3, this is the one that kept me going. Is there are 8 billion people in the world. Now let's shrink it down for me. I'm in the US. There's 330 million people in the US. Now let's just assume let's say 10% of those are watching Twitch. I feel like it's going to probably be more, but let's just say 10%. That's 3.3 million people. Okay, I'm a weird person. I don't think everyone's going to be into me. I'm going to say less than 0.5% of people are going to be into me. Well, if you're talking 3.3 million people, well, 10% of that is 330,000 people. 10% of that, which would be like 1%, is uh, 33,000 people. If I half that, so I'm talking 0.5%, a tiny minuscule amount of people, that's freaking 15,000 people that would be totally into me. If I run into like 15,000 people, I'd be considered a success, like, by far. Could you imagine having a stream with 15,000 people? That's bonkers.
No,
So
not at all.
I'm amazing. I'm amazing. So in that case, that helped me a lot because I realized I'm not fighting for one person. I'm just waiting for those 15,000 people to find me. And that really kind of helped me a lot because I know some people out there like me. I know I'm everybody's cup of tea, but even if I'm a minuscule amount of people, and that's just the US, like, I just have to wait for them to find me. And that really kind of helped me feel better about streaming.
Mhm. And
Thus ends my solstice talk.
no. It's a good Solstice talk. I just wanted to add on to what you're saying about learning to talk to the air, because when people tell me that, I tell them, just pretend you're Latina. Latina people always talk to themselves out loud. I do it all the time. I go through my run through of tasks and what I need to do. I talk about the next steps that I'm going to take, and I verbally and vocally speak them out loud because I've been doing that since the day I was born. Because obviously I'm a Latina, and honestly, that's how I started talking to myself. And a lot of people, when I started streaming, were like, "Oh, so you do know how to talk, even to an empty stream." I'm like, "I'm sorry, this is just a daily fact of life." I see a couple people in chat making the same comments too. I feel that that's hard. I get nervous about it. It throws me off. It gives me anxiety. Talking to yourself is sometimes something to be celebrated, not frowned upon. I cannot stress that enough. So.
What One thing I will say, because I've debated whether I wanted to delete them or not. There were points when I first was not even first starting, like the first couple of years. So I've been streaming for about 3 years now, but I feel like I've really only started kind of like locking into my chat, my base in the last like 7 to 9 months. Like before that, I was considered, I felt it was a successful stream if I had like 5 people show up throughout the entirety of it, and they most likely would be on for a moment, disappear. And I was still like, that was an amazing stream. That one time a guy showed up for a while, that was pretty awesome. I would, in the beginning, because I just like I was talking about, like I'd feel so defeated before I even started. Like I'd feel so much anxiety. Like, am I even doing it? I would actually just start talking about it at the beginning of my stream because I'm like, no one's here. I'm just gonna talk about how I'm kind of bummed about it. And like after I'd finished the stream, I'm like, because it would automatically output the VOD. I was like, this probably isn't gonna look good if people are like, well, what about this guy? Let's watch some of his VODs. And it's just me kind of whining and complaining. And I was like, maybe I should probably delete it. I kept them because I realized, number one, it'll show how things have changed. Like I feel like if I ever run into that stream again, like any of those streams earlier, it's kind of a like a gut check to remember like things weren't always, nice where I had like a handful of people on. There were points where no one was showing up and I, felt bad. And it's easy to kind of forget the bad. So I kept it. But the other thing is for other streamers, if for some reason they like my stuff, one of my friends told me that they're gonna go watch all my VODs in the background because it's they said that they like the sound of my voice, so they'll just have it on in the background while they're working. Like stuff like that. If people decide that they like me enough that they want to watch these VODs, and they're like, should I get into this? Like they can then see how I felt in the beginning because it's not just, I woke up one day and went, you know what? Streaming's for me and I'm just gonna be successful. It's like, no, I was like, streaming's for me. I try it and I'm like, oh, this is lonely. This is hard. This is intimidating. So it was really kind of nice to have that growth happen. But I want to remember that it wasn't always this way, because it's easy to just go, man, yeah, it's always been pretty good, and forget that, oh, for a while it wasn't so great. But you'll get past it. It's kind of like being an actor in the sense that, all those overnight successes took 10 years to get there. It's like they were acting long before you saw their name in a movie, but you just didn't know that they were out there acting because they weren't a name yet. It's the same thing for streaming. It's like you will find your people, guaranteed. I am 100% confident it is just a waiting game to find your people. But the thing is that being willing to wait that out isn't going to be for everyone, and that's the hardest part for me, at least. That was just agony. But once I got past there, it's like I'm so happy now. I'm very glad. Even though, like I said, I still have anxiety every time I stream, but I just think about what I get to look forward to, and it makes me very happy.
It looks like there's a couple questions also in chat too. I know a lot of people are bringing up some comments here. Mongoose brought up a point saying, if I can offer a piece of advice, be consistent with when you stream. Trust me, it's a necessity, which I agree with. I always tell folks, treat your stream like it's a primetime TV show. Same bat time, same bat channel. It does wonders.
100%.
I cannot stress that enough. Somebody also said, I do have a question about this. So there are times when I've heard this, that if you delete your clips, it can hurt your reputation as a streamer. Is that true, or is that just something people say? I've never, I'll be honest, I have deleted a lot of clips that I've posted on Twitch because I don't want to show my face. Again, as a PNG tuber, I try to retain some sense of anonymity. I don't feel that it's
immersion.
Oh my God, and she's really made of flesh. She has organs. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, there goes my Oshi. Oh, fuck. I don't feel that it's ever been a hindrance upon me. I don't think that deleting your clips is necessarily a bad thing. I actually laugh about that because still one of my top clips is when I did a Monster Hunter stream and you can hear me in the background yelling at my cat for rolling toilet paper off the roll. That is my highest viewed clip. I kept that one on there because, again, it didn't show my face. So I don't think deleting your clips is going to be a hindrance. I think you need to be confident with who you are as a person, and that really exudes and shines through because chat can see through bullshit. I don't try to sugarcoat anything with chat, and I don't try to bullshit with chat because chat will be the first one to call you out, especially on a forum like the internet. They'll be like, you don't like this game, why are you playing it? And I'm like, all right, I guess you're right. So just be true to who you are. If you want to delete those clips, delete those clips. If you want to keep them on, you can keep them on as well, but I don't really see it as much of a hindrance. What do you think, Solstice?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I've deleted, I would say I've deleted a decent number of clips, but mostly because of the fact that I've got a little clip button. I don't have clippers, I'm not that scale yet, but so I'll end up clipping my own stuff, and then I'll watch it afterwards, and I'm like, I don't even see why I clipped this. It's like, oh man, in the heat of the moment, I'm like, dude, that was hilarious. I bet it's gonna be funny when I come back to it, and then I'll look at it and I'll be like, what was I even? I have no context. I don't even remember why I thought this was funny. And that one I'll delete because I'm like, well, that's just noise. It's just getting in the way of trying to find the funny stuff. But I don't really clip because of like age or outgrowing it or any of that stuff. It's more just like editing more than anything. It's like, this was a dumb clip that, if someone clipped it or someone watched it, they'd be like, why did you clip this? And I'd be like, you know what? I feel the same way. Why did I clip this? I don't know. But in terms of like if like I've still got VODs. So before I started streaming directly to YouTube, I would export my VODs from Twitch to YouTube, which, by the way, if you didn't know, you can do that through sharing. I would export them to YouTube, and I've still got some from roughly, I think, about few months after I started, and I look back at those occasionally, and I mean, they're like the poorly produced. It was like I hadn't really gotten my designs up. I hadn't real My equipment was fine. It wasn't great, but it's still me. I'm still awesome in them, just as awesome as I am now. I mean, that could be a low bar for all I know, but I think I'm pretty awesome, and they were
That's
pretty cool
not
there.
true.
So
You're a
I
really
keep
cool
them.
Titan main. You're a good Titan main.
Oh man, imagine how much better I am as a hunter main then. Wow, that's
Bullshit.
awesome.
Bullshit. No, I think that's a good point. I've never heard of clippers. Like, are those people that actually clip your clips
Yeah.
for you?
Now the thing is, that's usually like we're talking at like the Iron Mouse, or hell, even like the like the Fillion, or the like mid level. Basically, two reasons. One, it's cool to have those clips, but two, like they'll make their own YouTube channels and edit the clips, and because they're so, the streamer that they're fans of are so popular, they'll be able to start monetizing them and making money because they're doing these awesome edits. And usually, like, the streamers it's a symbiotic thing where it's like, this most of the time streamers are all cool with it because of the fact it's also visibility for them. It's like if you've seen enough Fuumoko clips, you're like, huh, those were funny clips. I should go watch Fuumoko. And then they'll start watching the streamer, even though, I've been watching Fuumoko clips and making the clipper money too. So it's this whole like, like a ancillary network. It's like if you're a space company like NASA, you've got all these ancillary companies, like the people that make the rocket booster, or the people that make like the gyro compassy doodads. It's like a whole bunch of ancillary companies kind of spawn out of this main company. Same thing with it. It's like streamers, and then you got like clippers and stuff around them and stuff. It's an interesting relationship. I do not have them because you need to be on a lot, and I'm not on yet. I'm more dim, I'm kind of on. I'm a soft glow.
You said clippers, and I thought of your facial hair. I'm like, is he talking about scissors, like
Ooh.
trimming his nose hairs or trimming his mustache or goatee? I'm
Oh
like, I
man,
have no
I could use some
idea.
clippers there too, man.
Oh, listen, I mean, I don't have to. Again, I'm an android that it's fabricated. So, there's another question that came in, and I think this is actually a great question too.
Hmm.
My other question involves streaming hours. I mean, I talked about this before, but I used to be able to go for 4 hours, but after getting injured, I can only go for an hour or two, depending on the game. But I don't really tell people when I go live. I just go live when I feel like it. Can that
Hmm.
affect anything? I will be the first to tell you, as somebody who streams 2 hours a week, or 2 hours a night for 2 nights a week. So I only really stream for 4 hours a week. Timing, I feel, is very much everything, and goes
Hmm.
back to my previous statement of treat your stream like it's a primetime TV show.
Hmm.
Whereas if you are not on there, people will still remember between 7 to 9:30. That's usually when Pizza Made streams. I think that is important. Solstice, you can tell me your thoughts on this, and if, do you think that this does affect anything? But I do feel that it is somewhat important. Even if you're not consistent, at least keeping to the times that are strictly you want to block out that time so that people know, hey, if we're taking your time away from your families and from your loved ones to come watch us, which I think is one of the highest compliments that could be paid, be sure that you're always streaming at those specific times, even if you can't consistently do it because you have an injury or any ailments preventing you from doing that. Try to be at least consistent at the times that you do stream. If you can't do it every week for whatever reason, at least try to keep within the same time frame so people go, I remember him. I remember watching
Yes.
this person at this and this time. And I pass this over to you, Solstice.
Before I answer, I just noticed that you got a follower, Quake C, who is actually a friend of mine. Hey, Quake C, thanks for coming
Oh,
by.
thank you,
Pizza Made is
Quixie.
super bitchin' and awesome, so
Thank you,
cool.
Quixie. It's a
So
great
that's very
game.
cool.
Great game. Great game. Love it. Quixie.
So the guy in question, Quake C, he has put Quake. It's either Quake or Doom, but he has put it on a Pebble Watch. If you remember those, he has also made an X-wing emulator. So if you ever played the old X-wing video game, he put it on the watch. He's a crazy talented smarty pants guy. So yeah, shout out to him. He's a very cool guy. As to the question though, so yes, all the things that Pizza said, but because of the fact that I have to feel special, I've got more to say. So so basically, um, what's been said here is true that like if especially if you're doing small amounts of time, like let's say you're doing an hour. Number one, if all you have is the energy for an hour, do an hour. Don't feel compelled to do like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, unless that's what you want to do or feel that you have the energy to do. Two reasons. One, it's all about the energy you bring to the table. And so if you have an hour in you and you do like 5 hours, the like you're not going to feel good. You're just going to feel crappy. So don't push yourself that way. Number two, on the cynical side of things, which unfortunately, like if you're trying to grow, there's a little bit of cynicism that you got to, in my opinion, have in the back of your head. And that is, number one, the longer you stream, if you're trying to get your numbers up, the more people have to stick around to make those numbers. Because if you have like, let's say 5 people in a 1 hour stream, that's better, like number wise. And like I said, this is cynical. Don't feel like you have to chase these numbers. This is the cynical comment here. If you had 5 people in that 1 hour and then you stream for 3 more hours and it gets down to like 1 person at the end of it, you actually will have you'll have a smaller average because of the fact that there's less people overall on average. So keeping that energy high in a small amount, way better, cynically speaking, than having a longer stream with less people, because they'll all kind of burn out because you're burning out. Your energy is it's leaving your body. But then the other part is like you want to look forward to this. Definitely don't feel like don't force yourself to do anything that you don't want to do. This is something that should bring you joy. The dream is always to, of course, work on the thing that you enjoy the most. And so if you feel yourself compelled to do that, you're not going to enjoy it. Now, the other part, going back to the time thing, 100% agree. Like the picking consistent times, I feel is super important. There are 3 times a week that I stream. Now, I stream more than Pizza, but also I have less going on in my life than Pizza. So I do it because I have free time and I want people in my life because I'm a lonely boy. I stream on Wednesday. I stream on Friday. Both of those are at 7 p.m. Pacific, which, by the way, let me tell you, for my friends that are on the East Coast and Central Time, worst possible time, but it is what it is because, I live on the West Coast. But yeah, 7 p.m. I stream for 3 hours usually for those nights. And then Sunday, which used to be Pizza My Collab Day, I start 1 p.m. Pacific, and that's my long one. I'll go until about 6 or 7. But the thing is, like, if I feel the energy, I'll just keep going. But the thing is, it's if I feel the energy. If I feel like kind of worn out, I'm like, I might just call it early. I might just be like, you know what, I'm not feeling it, because the chat can feel it too. I think you mentioned it earlier, Pizza, like chat senses things. And if your energy is low, if you're not feeling like you want to be there, they're going to feel that sense that he's, that he or she, he in my case, doesn't want to be there. They're doing it because they feel like they're supposed to, not because they want to. And that can lead to, number one, the chat this is the cynical side, of course. That chat's like, man, this person is really just kind of putting it on for the sake of putting it on. They're not there because they really want to, and they might not start coming back after a while if that's a repeated thing. But the other thing is, like, you got to think about your personal health, your personal well-being. If you don't want to be there, this is supposed to be fun, dang it. Take some time off. You can come back later on. It's all good. Now, in that whole thing about the hour, definitely if you're going to do small amounts, I feel it's even more important to make sure that they're at a consistent time. And the reason is, if you're on for an hour, which is perfectly fine, I'm going to repeat that over and over and over again.
Yep.
An hour is perfectly fine. Don't feel like you have to stretch it to 2 to 5 to a billion, whatever. 1 hour, 30 minutes is perfectly fine. I've actually been on streams where people are like, I'm just on for 30 minutes. That's cool. But the thing is, if you're on for 30 minutes and I don't find out for 25 minutes, I'm only going to see you for 5, and that's going to make me sad. I want to see my cool ass streamer for more than 5 minutes. I didn't know that you hopped on until like just the last moment. That's where having that consistent time, like if you're on for 30 minutes and I know you're on it, 6 p.m. every Tuesday for 30 minutes, I can plan around that. I can show up. But if you are just like, you know what, it's like 4:53, I want to play for a half hour, I'm probably not going to know because, well, number one, I would be at work, but number two, like if I'm like checking my phone, I'm like, oh, there's a notification. Oh, and it's 20 minutes ago. And so it takes me a moment to sit down. I hop on. I only get to see you for like 7 minutes. So if you're going to do short ones, that really even benefits more to have them consistently, or at least announce them ahead of time. Like if you in the morning are like, you know what, I'm going to stream tonight for an hour, post it in the morning. So that way people that are, into what you're doing know to show up at this time. And that way you can show up. But it's even better if you can make it consistent, because like exactly what Pizza Made was saying, if you treat it like a primetime show, everybody knows when that show is, despite the fact that there's a lot of people in my Discord that are like, are you streaming tonight? I'm like, it's Friday. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm streaming on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that they're doing it out of love, so I'm like, dude, Jason, get out of your ass. They're just happy that you're going to be streaming. So
Yep.
But yeah, that's the exact thing. It's like if they know you're there, they're going to make it more consistent. Now, I noticed Mongoose mentioned this. If you have a vibe and you have the time, that's the other key thing. Don't do this on a weeknight that you're planning to work in the morning or something. Don't feel like you have to end at the prime time end of show time too. Like a perfect example would be this last Sunday. I started my stream at 1, and true to form, like I was saying, really the vibe didn't start for another like half hour, 45 minutes. It was just me, and every time, going back to my whole like self-doubt in the beginning, like every time, including this one, I was just like, I think this is just going to be me on this stream. God, this is so sad. But I kept going, kept talking, and I had a good time by myself, but I was still like, is anybody showing up? Is it just me? Then people started showing up, and more people started showing up, and more people started showing up, and it became like a party, and I had a great time. And then at like, was it like 6 o'clock? I look over and I'm like, no way, man. No way. We got to keep the party going. And I just kept going, and everyone kept going. More people started showing up, and then other people would leave because it was late, and they're like, I got to work in the morning. And, it kept going. The vibe was rolling. People were turning. I left. I'm inactive. That's all right.
Dare you?
That's all right. I'll be back. But we're just having a great old time. And I then finally looked at the clock, and I'm like, okay, it's 1 a.m. I should probably be leaving. I ran what should have been my 5-hour stream, and I went for 13 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a normal thing for me, but I was really happy to do it because the vibes were there. I had the energy. That's the key thing. I had the energy. I control the horizontal and vertical on my stream. It's not because this is another thing, especially if you have trouble kind of pushing back or saying no. Just because everybody else wants you to be there, keep in mind your own energy levels, because if you don't feel it, don't feel like you have to because chat wants you to. You got to be true to yourself. Definitely leave if you feel it. But I was feeling it. I had a great time, and I went for a crazy amount of time, and I woke up because it was Martin Luther King Day, so I had the day off. I woke up at around like 10:30 in the morning, and I was just like, God, I feel like I just got run over, but God damn, it was a fun time. It was like a streaming hangover, man. It was so good.
Those are I've experienced those moments where you have such a fun stream, and then afterwards it's like, that you put 150% of your energy because you were feeling it and the vibes were there, and then like you go to bed and you wake up the next morning, you're just like, oh shit, what happened? What did I drink? And Sam will just be like, you had orange juice, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh God, I don't know, my throat's completely gone. He goes, you were too busy laughing because you suck at Guilty Gear Strive. I'm like, oh, I guess that's it. You have those moments, but you work with what's best for you, and you work with, what's in your time constraints. And it's a lot of people always try to make the emphasis on doing what's best for the general interest of the audience. Let the audience form themselves from you. I cannot stress that enough. My audience is based on like-minded individuals like myself who enjoy these things but also have personal lives. They have families, they have pets, they have friends and friend circles and support systems that they reach out to. And so a lot of them are of an older demographic. So, this is the time that works for them because this is the small amount of time that they have of their own me time. And you work with what fits with you. But first and foremost, focus on you, and everything else will click into place like Legos. I cannot stress it enough. And with that, Solstice, we didn't fucking talk about VTubers tonight.
I know. What the hell, man?
That means we're just going to have to do a collab stream someday. Thanks.
Sounds good.
I hate you. Thanks. I guess I'm doing a collab stream with you again soon. I guess that's happening.
I'll bring my hunter.
You are not. Don't you dare.
I mean, it's my job as a main. Well, I could bring my alt if you want. I could bring my alt.
No, you could
Calamity
bring.
Sisters.
You could bring your Titan. I haven't played my Destiny 2 Hunter main. I gotta take her through the tutorial. Do we bring back the Calamity Sisters just once? And then just do an AMA? Do we do that?
An AMA, an OMG?
An AMA, OMG, LOLs, and blazers and stuff, yeah.
Oh, god damn.
I just learned what that was this year. That blew my mind. It's not blazers with extra Z's. It's just not. That's what I thought it was, and I was wrong. But yeah, we're gonna be ending. They took away the tutorial well with the OG tutorial all of us are familiar with. Well, we'll go through it for a first time again. We'll bring back the Calamity Sister. Of course, his Titan main is one of the Calamity Sisters, but I'll bring back the Hunter main, and we'll set this up for a future stream. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do a one-time Sunday stream again. Let me know what you think about that. When you're free, you holler at me, or I'll holler at you. Because I'm always busy. Yeah, I'm eternally tired.
I can tell you pretty definitively, I'm pretty available for streaming on Sundays, as if I have a plan already for that.
It's a thought. It's just a thought. But maybe
no, I'm down.
We'll hop on with it. It's definitely a little chaotic these next few weeks, but we'll definitely do something in the pipeline. But first and foremost, Solstice, thank you so much for coming on the stream, and thank you for being such a ray of positivity. I'm just glad that I got to kind of show. I feel okay. I'm gonna be honest. I feel a little like an asshole and a little selfish because I feel like I've just showed off my really good friend who's really talented and like successful. I'm like, everybody please meet my successful friend Solstice. Look at him. This is when you wind the back of his neck, he does this and then a little dog pops up and but it was more because I wanted people to get to know you, because I think that the core of your success lies in the kindness of your heart and the character and the good vibes that you kind of put out there into the world. And we're in such bleak and dark times. There's not enough fucking positivity in this world. And I wanted to make sure that people got to see that and got to hear your horrible humor and your horrible Hunter main stories that don't exist because you're really a Titan main, and just our little anecdotes and shenanigans back and forth. So do you want to take a second to tell folks where to find you? And I'm actually going to post this again here in the channel here if you guys don't already know.
Make the buttons click and do the stuff.
Do it. Everybody go. If you're not already following him, oh my God, what are you doing wrong? Please go check out Solstice. But where can they find you?
Yeah, so let's see. You can find me at twitch.tv/Worlds Told. That's my twitchy spot. As I was talking about a little bit ago, I stream on average 7 p.m. on Wednesday and Friday Pacific, and then 1 p.m. Pacific on Sundays. I do a lot of story-driven or RP-driven content. A lot of Star Citizen lately, but I also do stuff like TCG Card Game Simulator and Once Human, and just lots of random stuff. Whatever floats my boat at the time. I'm also on YouTube.com/@WorldsTold. I simul-stream, so you can catch me there, and I also have my VODs there. And then I'm on some of the socials, less of them as things get crazier. But I got Blue Sky, I got the Tickety Talks. Let's see, I'm technically on Twitter. We'll never call it the other name, but it's just a clone of all my Blue Sky stuff. So come hang out there. But yeah, just always looking for friends to hang out with, people to chat with, and also, oh yeah, speaking of, next month is my streamiversary. I did my affiliate anniversary this month. Next month is my anniversary of when I started streaming altogether. And right now it's looking like I'm going to do I don't want to call it a cooking stream, but I'm going to recreate the sandwiches from a sandwich shop in Star Citizen, and they got some weird ones. The one I'm dreading the most is they have an avocado and corn sandwich, and I'm like, what in the actual hell would that even be? We're going to find out, and unfortunately, I'll probably have to taste it, but it should be pretty fun.
Oh man, you should make strawberry and cream.
Whipped cream?
Yeah, strawberry and whipped cream sandwiches. But do it the way you do it at the way you get it at the restaurant. Do it that way. Do it that way. Don't do it your way. Do it that way. But
Hell's Kitchen stream when.
Oh God. Oh God.
You're an idiot sandwich.
You know what you are? Put these 2 pieces of bread between your face and scream, I am an idiot sandwich. I'm sorry, that was a horrible, horrible accent. So all of my friends in the UK, I'm so sorry. I'm not British, and I don't claim that I am. I'm so sorry. But with that, we are going to get ready here. I don't know where that idiot sandwich came from, but I'm going to keep you on here with me, Solstice, because we are going to get ready to do something that we like to do here called the Mado-Rado. And essentially how that works is we like to give some love to another friendly content creator. And all the positivity and good vibes that we had on tonight's channel, we like to send that over to them, so we just kind of pay it forward and keep it going. So let me first take a second to thank Quakesy for the follow, PK Coltrane for the raid, thank you so very much, as well as the resubscription. Lantis Grayfield, thank you for the gifted sub. Fuji Cow, thank you for the follow and the subscription here on the channel. Obligatory anime reference, thank you for the follow. That's the best username I've heard so far on Twitch. Worlds Told, thank you again for the 5 community gift subs. Rapture, excuse me, 1205, thank you for the follow. I'm laughing too hard, I could tell. It's messing me up completely. And It's the Dusk, thank you guys for the resubscription. We are going to get started here. Let's get things up and running. And so let's get this going. Let's get this up here. Yeah.
While Pizza's getting that ready, as a note, anybody that plays Destiny 2, if you sub right now, you get the emblem right now for the drops. There's a sub-only emblem, so send Pizza Maid your subs. Get that emblem. Show her your love.
You guys, if you want the emblem, do it if you want the emblem.
You want the emblem. I want you to want the emblem.
Lantis, thank you for the gift sub to Jatha22. Thank you so much. I'm going to stream later today after I've eaten all this talk. It's gotten me motivated. That's right.
Heck
Pyro's going to stream. That's how we fucking do it. That's how we go.
It sounds like someone I need to follow. We're going to fix that.
Let's fix that. Wait a minute. Do I have to relink my Destiny 2 account with Twitch to do it? I do not know.
I think so. I think it has to be linkety-linked.
Oh, shit. Look at you. Look at you motivating people, Solstice. Little do they know you're a Titan main. Little do they know. Truth be told.
Little do I know. Because truth is, I'm a hunter main.
You are not a hunter main. How dare you?
1,800 on the hunter, only 1,200 on the Titan.
Oh, please. Now, my question to you, as we're sending out this Mado-Rado, and you've been our esteemed guest for this month here on Margarita's Happy Hour, is there somebody that you would like me to send this Mado-Rado out to, and we can just kind of give them all of our energy? I love to pass it over to the guest and say, dear guest, is there someone you would like us to give this love to?
Nice. Let's see. Is there anybody here?
And you could send that to me in Discord as well.
Actually, doesn't look like any of the people I would be sending are on yet. So we're going for. Oh, hold on. We got someone doing some tabletop stuff. Ooh, yeah.
What? Let's go.
Yeah. Let me send you a thingy here.
Send me a name. What's a name, Sebastian? I need a name. Glitch Games. It's not Moonchild? What happened? I'm not naming myself Glitch Games.
Betray you.
Give me a name, Solstice. A name.
Glitch Games.
That's not a name. It's not name. All right, let's put this one in. Glitch Games currently streaming right now some tabletop RPGs. Ooh, it looks like they've got some one-shots going on. Oh, dad jokes are in here. We're good. We got some dad jokes happening. Oh boy, oh boy. All right. Everyone, jump on in. We're going to send this Matorado over to Glitch Games, and we want to thank everybody so much for tuning into the channel. This has been twitch.tv/PizzaMade. I've been the head maid in charge here. It has been a pleasure to serve you. Solstice, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope we get to do more in the future. We've got a Destiny 2 collab on the horizon. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch him attempt to make sandwiches. That's what we're going to do. So, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in.
My future.
What?
Pork katsu, it's one of the sandwiches.
I literally heard something else, and I heard pork cock, and I went, oh my God, what are you doing with that? I'm sorry. I got distracted. This is every day.
I mean, I could make a sandwich out of that, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, if you guys did want to see this again and you wanted to keep this for future reference, be sure to look out for the YouTube channel as well. The VOD will be available this weekend. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been the head maid in charge here, Pizza Maid. It's been a pleasure to serve you. And never, ever, 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 ever forget that this little android loves you. Say goodbye, Solstice!
220,310.
Oh,
Bye.
God. See, this is the shit that's going to get me in trouble with my husband. Is this what you're trying to do? That's how that shit happens. All right, I think